As only 17 days are left in the most anticipated clash between Ilia Topuria and Charles Olivera, Ilia drops an intense training camp footage ahead of his fight. Ilia Topuria's latest training camp footage ahead of his fight with Charles Olivera shows him in spectacular form. His speed, power, and intensity are at an all-time high. Topuria appears razor-focused, displaying the mindset of a man unwilling to lose. His dominance and confidence are clearly evident in every session. Topuria's conditioning looks elite in his latest camp. He's displaying relentless cardio, explosive movement, and sharp recovery between intense drills. His endurance allows him to maintain a high pace without fading, a key weapon against a seasoned opponent like Olivera. Mentally and physically, Topuria seems prepared for a 5-round war. However, Sean O'Malley said that when it comes to the fight between Ilia Topuria and Charles Olivera, your heart might pick Charles, but your brain says Ilia. He explained that usually fighters avoid moving up in weight because opponents are stronger. However, he believes that won't be a problem for Ilia. Even though Charles might not be much stronger, Ilia has a bigger frame. O'Malley added that Ilia has probably spent his whole life fighting bigger guys since he is not very tall, so physical strength will likely not be an issue for him in this fight.
That's heart versus brain right there. Your heart says Charles, your brain says Ilia. Ilia moving up. I don't think he's going to be... The reason you don't move up for the most part is because you don't want to... People are stronger. Physically, just a lot stronger. I don't think that's going to be the case in Ilia versus Charles. I don't think Ilia's going to... Charles gonna be that much stronger, but his frame's quite a bit bigger. But he's probably his whole life been fighting people that are bigger because he's 5 foot. He's not a big stature guy. So I don't think that's going to necessarily be an issue.
Moreover, Tim Welch said that Charles Olivera stands very tall in a Muay Thai stance, moving forward with knees and powerful head kicks. Both Charles and Ilia like to pressure opponents, so they'll likely clash head on. He noted that Ilia is very short and often ducks his head, which could make him vulnerable to Charles's knees. At the same time, Ilia is great at punching to the body and then sneaking shots up top. Welch said he wouldn't be too surprised if Charles lands a head kick knockout on Ilia, but either way, it's going to be an exciting fight.
Charles, he just stands so high. He has like this Muay Thai stance. He marches forward with knees. He whips head kicks. Both the guys like to come forward and back the person up. So they're gonna collide. And there's ways. Ilya's so short. He tilts his head. He ducks his head. There's ways those knees could line up very easily and drop Ilia Topuria. But again, the way he stands so tall and the way Ilia punches to the body so well and then hides him and comes up top.
What if Charles got a head kick knockout on Topuria?
I mean, I wouldn't.
Little switch, bank.
Wouldn't be that surprised.
Right?
I just wouldn't. But that's going to be a banger.
However, Ilia Topuria's sparring has been intense and focused, simulating real fight conditions. He's working with high-level partners who push his speed, timing, and reaction. His striking looks sharp, with fast combinations and powerful counters. He's targeting the body often, preparing to break down Olivera's high stance and forward pressure.
Lunes, 8 de la mañana. Aquí estamos, dándole, como siempre.
Topuria is also drilling wrestling to stuff takedowns and stay off the mat. His strength and conditioning work includes explosive movements and high-intensity circuits to improve endurance. Mental focus is strong, using visualization and fight strategy. Every part of his camp shows he's preparing for all aspects of Charles Olivera's game. Moreover, Anthony Smith said that when two elite fighters like Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira face off, it often comes down to who has the bigger defensive weakness. In his view, that's clearly Oliveira. He pointed out how hittable Charles is and how often he gets into wild exchanges. Smith praised Topuria's clean, sharp boxing, effective body shots, and smart leg kicks. He called Ilia strategic, disciplined, and said his fighting IQ is extremely high. Smith questioned how Oliveira can stay safe at striking range against someone like Topuria, and even if it goes to the ground, he doubts Charles can dominate him there.
I typically look at, when you get two guys like these two that are very, very good, then you start looking at their defensive responsibilities and who has the larger deficiency. That's 100% Charles Oliveira. He's so hittable. Yeah. He loves to fight into wars. Ilia Topuria does not engage in bullshit. He's super crisp, very, very clean boxer, but goes to the body well, leg kicks really well, so strategic and so well thought out, and has an incredibly high fight IQ. I just don't know how Charles Oliveira stays safe in any kind of striking range, fighting the way that he fights with Ilia Topuria. I just think that he's going to get hit hard. He's going to get hurt. And I don't know that he can take down Ilia Topuria. And if he did, I don't know that he would out-grapple him anymore.
Mateusz Gamrot thinks Charles Oliveira will stop Ilia Topuria by knockout at UFC 317. Though he admitted Topuria is dangerous and hits hard if he connects cleanly, Gamrot believes Oliveira's size, fight experience, and striking ability will be too much for the featherweight moving up. He stressed that Oliveira's physicality and complete skill set make him a tough challenge, and expects the former title holder to finish Topuria inside the distance.
Who do you think wins, Ilia or Charles?
Interesting matchup. The both guys has changed. Like if Ilia hit Charles Oliveira head, so he can knock him down for sure. But I think Oliveira is so big for him and for all-rounder fighter, and I think Oliveira will win this fight.
Gamrot called the Oliveira versus Topuria matchup exciting and evenly matched, saying either fighter could win. However, he slightly favors Oliveira. He praised Topuria's power, but focused on Oliveira's size, cage experience, and ground skills. Gamrot warned that if the bout hits the mat, it could go badly for Topuria. Although he noted Oliveira can be unpredictable, Gamrot sees his jiu-jitsu and grappling as a clear advantage, and that may be the key to victory.
You think Oliveira's gonna win? I haven't heard a lot of people say that.
I think so. He is big. It depends how his performance will be in the fight, because sometimes he looks bad, but sometimes he looks fantastic. So I think that in the ground he will be much better for Ilia. Especially like the gabarit is much different. Oliveira is big guy. Ilia is small guy. So if Oliveira catch him in the ground, I think this is gonna be big problem. But like I say, Ilia can knock him out for him also, you know. So this is like 50-50. But I think Oliveira will win.
Moreover, Ilia is training with relentless focus, preparing meticulously for the challenges ahead. Each workout is intense and purposeful, designed to enhance his striking, improve his grappling, and elevate his conditioning. Backed by an elite team, he continuously evolves, pushing toward perfection. Every day, he's not only keeping his edge, but also expanding the distance between himself and his competitors. For Ilia, this fight isn't just about protecting his status, it's about creating a lasting legacy in the sport. Ilia's training camp embodies his champion mindset, focused, intense, and relentless. Every day pushes his body and mind to the limit, combining tough sparring with precise technical drills. From explosive takedown defense to sharp striking combos and pressure-filled grappling, he treats each session like a title fight. His coaches design workouts to simulate opponents' threats, helping him control the fight's pace. With strong discipline and a drive to get better, Ilia is ready not just for his upcoming fight, but to dominate the division for years to come. However, Arman Tsarukyan considers Charles Oliveira a dangerous opponent because of his world-class submission skills and ability to finish fights from nearly any ground position. However, Tsarukyan thinks Oliveira does not have the strong wrestling needed to consistently take down a fighter like Ilia Topuria. Reflecting on his own bout with Oliveira, where he was caught in a choke, Tsarukyan noted that his wrestling-heavy style is different from Oliveira's approach, which focuses on creating grappling chances rather than forcing takedowns. He believes Topuria will avoid grappling by using sharp boxing, footwork, and solid takedown defense to keep the fight standing, making it hard for Oliveira to get comfortable.
А можешь представить, чтобы Оливейра затащил Топурию вниз и там уже финишировал его?
Да, конечно, Оливера очень опасный, с любой позиции может душить. Но просто перевести у Оливера не такая вольная борьба. Допустим, моя работа, да, я люблю переводить. То есть я его перевожу, и он может контратаку какую-то сделать, там, душающий взять, как он взял меня там. То есть это возни не будет. Топурия просто будет работать, боксировать, не будет пытаться его переводить, так как у него намного лучше бокс, чем у Оливера. А у Оливера, мне кажется, недостаточно вольной борьбы, чтобы перевести Топурия.
Furthermore, Arman Tsarukyan sees the fight between Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria as tough and closely matched, but favors Topuria to come out on top. He believes Topuria's striking power, accuracy, and calmness inside the cage give him a real chance to finish Oliveira. While Tsarukyan respects Oliveira's dangerous submission skills and experience, he thinks Topuria's ability to control distance, defend takedowns, and land clean punches could overwhelm Oliveira. He views Topuria as the fresher, more disciplined fighter who can take advantage of any openings. If Topuria keeps the fight standing, Tsarukyan believes he could win by stoppage before the final round.
А каким ты видишь этот бой Топурия и Оливейра?
Очень тяжелый бой, но все-таки я думаю, что Топурия сможет финишировать Оливера.
Lastly, Arman Tsarukyan praised Ilia Topuria as one of the best boxers in the UFC today, highlighting his power and striking skills. While he recognized Brian Madalena's excellent timing and technique, Tsarukyan believes Topuria's harder punches make him stand out. He also pointed out that Topuria's aggressive style sometimes leads him to take more damage during fights. Overall, Arman views Topuria as a dangerous and powerful striker capable of turning a fight around with his heavy shots.
Согласен с тем, что у Топурии лучший бокс на данный момент, как минимум в UFC.
Однозначно. А вот Мадалена хороший бокс тоже. Мадалена очень хороший бокс. Очень хороший тайминг. Я был очень удивлен.
Арман.
Кто-то из них.
Либо Топурия, либо Мадалена.
Либо Топурия, либо Мадалена. Но Мадалена мне даже больше понравился. Топурия просто бьет тяжелее и пропускает больше. Но Мадалена потехничнее будет именно настолько.
However, Paddy Pimblett shared his views on the UFC 317 fight, believing Ilia Topuria has a good chance to beat Charles Oliveira. While respecting Oliveira's toughness, Pimblett questioned how well Oliveira's chin will hold up after nearly 40 fights and the wear and tear on his body. He also pointed out that Oliveira often takes big risks, which could be dangerous against a precise striker like Topuria. Pimblett emphasized that moving up in weight is tough, and many fans underestimate how much size and power matter. Since Oliveira has a build similar to Pimblett's, he thinks size could be a big factor, especially in a striking battle.
Ilia beats Charles then?
I think he might, to be honest. Charles is a bit chinny, isn't he? You know what I mean? He's had about 40 fights or something. He always gets punched. He always gets cracked.
Yeah.
So,
he's reckless, but he's super exciting.
Yeah, he is.
And he's dangerous.
Exciting. If he gets him down, I can see him winning, because that £10 difference is a big difference.
Yeah.
145 to 155, it's a big difference. People don't understand that because they don't watch the sport or they're not involved in the sport. But that £10 makes a big difference. And especially, like, Charles is like my height. Ilia's like down here when I stand up. You know what I mean? So it's gonna make a big difference. Like,
Pimblett also mentioned that Topuria might be surprised by how much bigger Oliveira looks in person. He explained that fighters moving up often don't realize the real size and strength difference until they face someone from the higher weight class directly. Pimblett gave examples like Bobby Green and Michael Chandler, who seemed bigger on paper but didn't feel as physically imposing in the cage. This unexpected size gap could play an important role when Topuria fights Oliveira.
Ilia might get a bit of a fright at how big Charles is when he stands opposite him. Fighters do that with me, who fight at lightweight. You know what I mean? I'll never forget Bobby Green looking over at me and being like, what, he's big him. Same with Chandler. Like people thought Chandler was going to be bigger than me, and He just weren't.
Moreover, Robert Whittaker spoke about the changing lightweight division, noting how Ilia Topuria's jump up in weight brings more excitement. He mentioned rumors that the UFC promised Topuria a title shot if he gave up his featherweight belt, saying fast-tracking fighters with momentum like Topuria makes sense. Whittaker believes champions moving up should get big fights quickly, though he understands it can be tough for other contenders waiting their turn. Ultimately, he feels the UFC will focus on matchups that generate the most interest and money.
I think the lightweight division is the most exciting division right now. It's just death row in the lightweight division at the moment. Like the top 5, dude, that guard up there right now, it's just killers, man.
But especially with Ilia Topuria entering the mix, right? The whole big story over the past week was he obviously vacated the title at featherweight, but apparently he said the UFC told him, we promise you a title opportunity if you vacate. That's what he told Spanish media. Or I think he said as a backup he would fight Charles Oliveira. And now they've gone back and forth. What do you reckon, Rob?
I don't know what was promised or anything, but I feel like if you're in a lower division and you vacate the title, you should go straight to the top of the pecking order. I'd like to see him go straight into a title shot. Okay. Understandably, it can be tricky that way because there are a lot of guys like styles make fights. So if the champion of a lighter division has a better style to beat the guy in the high division, where's the fairness of that? Because that guy may not get through 10 guys to get to a title shot. He may not get through the contenders. Yeah, I just feel like there should be a certain amount of weight for being the champion of the division already. I can also see the side of the argument for the guys in the division that have been like, brother, like I've had to slog, especially in the lightweight division, like I've had to slog my way to the top of this division and it is death row there. I think UFC's going to do what makes them the most money.
On the other hand, Renato Moicano sees the Topuria versus Olivera fight as more competitive than many expect. While some favor Topuria, Moicano highlighted Oliveira's toughness, experience, and submission skills as serious threats. He also noted that moving up in weight isn't easy and brings uncertainty, though he first leaned toward Topuria after talking with Olivera on his Brazilian podcast and feeling a sense of national pride. Moicano now supports Olivera in the matchup.
You're fighting on the Charles Olivera versus Ilia Topuria card. Charles is a big underdog. How do you see that fight going?
Man, that's a tougher matchup that a lot of people think. They think Topuria gonna run through Charles. You never count Charles Oliveira out. I think he's very tough. But Topuria is good, you know? He's 145. It's going to be a tough fight for both fighters. I don't have one opinion on that. I was leaning more to Topuria, but today I just had a podcast with Charles on my Brazilian channel. It's just very hard to not like the guy. That makes harder, you know, to pick against him. So I'm going with Charles just because he's Brazilian.
Moreover, Michael Chandler says the fight is hard to predict. He believes Charles Oliveira is very skilled and well-rounded, making him a tough opponent to beat. At the same time, Chandler recognizes Ilia Topuria's incredible power and precise striking. He expects Topuria to have the edge in striking, but knows Olivera is strong in all aspects. Having fought Olivera twice, Chandler respects his toughness and overall skills. This makes their matchup exciting and unpredictable, with both fighters bringing dangerous weapons to the cage.
Who do you think is going to win?
Man, it's tough. You don't bet against freaking Charles Oliveira because he's so dang good everywhere, and he's a really hard guy to beat. With that being said, Ilia Topuria's got some crazy power in his hands and crazy accurate strikes. So it'll be very interesting to see how that fight goes. You got to think that the striking department leans toward Ilia. But Charles is tough everywhere, man. Obviously, fighting him twice, I know.
Khamzat Chimaev praised Ilia Topuria for his rapid rise in the UFC and reflected on their early training days together at All Stars Gym. Before Topuria became well known, Chimaev recognized his talent and potential. Both competed at a high level in Brave FC, where Chimaev saw Topuria's strong focus and determination. From the beginning, he believed Topuria had the mindset and skills needed to succeed. Now, seeing Topuria near the top of the division, Chimaev views his success as the result of years of hard work and dedication.
Очень известный сейчас боец. Ты с ним вроде как давно знаком. Он тренировался в Альстаре вместе, вот до еще его всей известности. Когда вот тренировки ты его видел, ты видел этот потенциал в будущем?
Ну, конечно, просто тогда, в то время, этот был он хорошим топовым бойцом в Брейве, как и я. Мы оба там выступали. Видно было, потому что он такой пахарь и хочет добиться чего-то в своей жизни. И парень добился. всех высот, которые можно в этом спорте добиться.
Javier Mendez expressed a slight edge for Ilia Topuria in a fight against Charles Olivera, praising Topuria's sharp boxing up close and his ability to land clean, powerful strikes. He pointed out that Oliveira's tall, upright stance could make him vulnerable if he can't time his knees or front kicks well to keep Topuria at bay. While Mendez acknowledged Oliveira's reach advantage and dangerous kicks, he believes Topuria's more complete skill set gives him a better chance to win.
It's basically because Charles is going to stand in there upright, like you're saying, and when he gets inside, he's going to use that boxing, and Charles' head's going to be up, and Ilya's got a really good way of connecting with that chin on the inside, really, really nice, just like what he did with Volk, you know. And I think if Charles doesn't get him up the middle with knees or front kicks up the middle, he's going to have a hard time with his boxing against him, and he's going to have a hell of a time trying to take him down. So it's going to be one of those where Ilya's got more opportunities than Charles does. But Charles can surprise us with his length, you know, and up the middle would be really, really well suited for him. And the kicks too, you know, body, head type thing, you know, low, high, you know, he could do really well with that.
That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this? What do you think about this upcoming fight? We would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this upcoming anticipated clash. So share your thoughts in the comments section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Also check out our other latest videos on the screen right now.